Yeah, after this break, let us just give a small overview of what we have talked before. The world doesn't understand the refugee crisis. We suppose that it's not the product of hazard, but that some people are behind that. And I think that Satan wants to destabilize the world with this. However, God is putting rulers where they are. Daniel chapter 2, we know that. And God lets it happen so that in the end time, the true Christians can be protected, as Elijah and John the Baptist and many others were protected. Paul also. And also for the gospel to be preached in a specific way, especially in Europe. A division president, not the one of the TED, but close to here, told me recently that in order to wake up, Europe needs an earthquake or something big. When we look at secularism, how people in Germany, I think Denmark, same, do not care at all about God, just live for their own pleasure without any hope and goal, except the pleasure right now. God needs to do something great for the gospel to be preached. And it's going to happen, and probably the refugee crisis will help us because these people will help us, besides destabilizing the society. Before I continue, I want to show you two things. First, I wrote a book called Longing for Paradise, which is available for only $3, which is a good price, I think, because normal price written here is $13. So I make a very special price for you, just for you. And this book is for you, but it's also for Muslims. It's written for Muslims, comparing what the Quran and the Bible say about the end time. So I start with Daniel 2, then go to Matthew 24, including the Gospel, verse 14, the good news, including the false messiahs, basically a short break, but very clear break to Revelation 13, to the remnants, to the Sabbath, and to the true church of God. Here I speak also about Elijah fed by the Ishmaelites, but quite briefly. This book gives the three important keys for the Muslims. You can be friends with Muslims for many years, and I will show you that this is important and how to do it. But there are three big stumbling stones, three doors that are closed. And if you don't open these doors, if you don't remove the stones, the Muslim will not go forward. Three stones are that Muslims believe of apostasy in Christianity. So I talk about it, first chapter, show about the true Christian, the Quran, and so on. That's what we had. The two other stumbling stones are the authenticity of the Bible and the position of Jesus. But we'll do this later on, so I'm not coming to this. The second thing is I'd like to just show you a few pictures of my work. I think it's important. This is my family. The picture is very old, but I like it. We were in Iran. My family loved mission. When we moved to Albania, I was mission president there. We came on the 2nd of January. For 1 week, we had no electricity, which means no light, no heating, no cold water, no hot water. Can you imagine that? 2nd of January, no light, no heating, no cold water, no hot water. I thought my family would kill me, but my daughter said, "Dad, if God wants us to be here, where's your problem?" I love this spirit. My children are completely committed to mission. So when they're on vacation, they do what? Mission. Like in Iran, we just go onto the bridge somewhere and begin to sing as a family. And within 2 minutes, 3 minutes, we have hundreds of people with their iPhones making picture, recording what we sing. We are smart. We don't sing in English. We sing in other languages because my family is a 5-language by nature. My wife's from Croatia. I'm French. They grew up in Turkey and so on. But people see that we're Christians. And then we begin to talk about Jesus, and we just run away before the police comes, and those who want to listen to more, they follow us. That's good vacation. Now this is a more modern picture with the daughter-in-law and son-in-law. Son-in-law is a pastor, not yet married, but they are all. My son is studying medicine to be a medical dictionary, medical missionary. Yeah, and we travel a lot. Our ministry is independent. I still have my record in the Seventh-Day Adventist Church as a pastor, but I don't use it. I don't use my credential because there's no position for me to do what I do, and I want to do it. I only have 200 years before I die, so I better do something and hurry because there's so much to do. So my ministry is basically to help Muslims finding Jesus. A few weeks ago, we were in the Comoros Islands, an island with 99% Muslim presence, actually 100%, between Madagascar and Mozambique or Tanzania. And by the grace of God, we found there about 20 people who are believers in Jesus. Half of them believe in the Sabbath just by themselves. So there's no Adventist presence, but God has his people there. So we meet on Sabbath, and it's great. Yeah, eat together, the food. This is a completely other project. That's for my friend Alex, who is here. Alex, where's this? São Paulo. São Paulo has 600 Adventist churches in one city, 3 conferences. Can you imagine that? It's a little bit more than Denmark, I think. And one of the churches, an Arabic-speaking churches, where Muslims and Christians just read the Quran and the Bible, pray together their own way. That's a great project. One of my favorite countries is Afghanistan. I love Afghanistan. You cannot make pictures of women, so that's me here behind the burqa. I said, give me a burqa, I want to have a picture. I went around with the burqa, it's really fun. People don't know I'm a woman, and so it's funny. And that's Saudi Arabia. It's interesting, when I came to Saudi Arabia, I just went to the first shop I could find and found this nice cloth, and I didn't know that this is the cloth of Mecca, the city of Mecca. And incidentally, the scarf on my head is also the scarf from Mecca, so everybody thought I'm from Mecca, which means I can go to Mecca, nobody stops me, I can preach, everybody think I'm a very holy man. God is good. This is another country in Mauritania, where Mauritania last year has decreed death penalty to anyone who would just criticize Islam without any way of protesting. So that's the kind of country we need to go. And by the grace of God, when I arrived there, I was invited by the government, by the highest sheikh, this man with a white hair, and I offered him Bible studies. He accepted. So that's the work we do. Of course, short story. By the way, the lady on the right side here, she's a Tunisian lady working as a mediator between all the governments of West Africa and the terrorist groups, Al-Qaeda and Boko Haram and so on. Very interesting lady, very brilliant lady. And these are my friends. This is what's up every day. What I love in Afghanistan is that people are so friendly. When you come at the bus station, everybody comes and invites you for food. So of course, I like food as a French, but what I like more is that after the food, what do you do in Afghanistan? You are the guest. Your duty is to pray for the family. So what do? I pray. And ask them, what should I pray for? Well, my wife has diabetes. Okay, I will pray for her. And can I pray in the name of Jesus? Oh yes. And I pray in the name of Jesus. And I don't know these people, I have no phone number, no name, no Facebook, WhatsApp. But I know one thing. If God has healed this woman there in Kunduz, Afghanistan, there's a revolution there in the name of Jesus, I can tell you. That's ministry. Prayer ministry is extremely important for Muslims, and not just for Muslims. Prayer ministry. Pray with people, pray for people. Very important. I love universities like here in Albania. Why? Because university is where you meet young people. Again, Denmark, you have young people from all around the world coming to study. Tomorrow, these people will be politicians, academics, doctors, business people in countries where you maybe will never go. Just an example. We met this young man 30 years ago, my wife and I. He was a young student in France. And obviously we invited for dinner because I don't remember that, but he remembers. And about Facebook, by Facebook, he found me 3 years ago and he said, Sylvain, when are you coming? I want to see you again. So I went to his country. And when I came there, his wife told me, every day my husband talks about you. He's so impressed. Every day for 26 years. I think she exaggerated a little bit, but even if it's every second day, it's fine. And now the time came in the evening when he would sleep with his wife in the dining room, and he would give me his sleeping room. And beside his bed, there was a Bible. And with tears in his eyes, he said, you gave me this Bible 26 years ago. And you know what? I don't remember. But he remembers. Now he's the mayor of a big Arabic city. Very influential politician. What did I do? I just gave a dinner to a student. That's what I did. Young people, work for students. Church members, when students come to your church or in your church, Adventist, non-Adventist, this is the future of our church. This is the elite of Denmark, the elite of a lot of other countries. Don't neglect this. Leaders talk to leaders, and as a pastor, I always try to reach the top. Now, this top is a mayor, as you see, in a small city in Turkey, where there's the grave of Job. Elin, if you listen to us, you know this man, Mehmet, on the right side. And the story is following. When I came the first time to the city of Eyüp Nebi, so the city where there's the grave of Job, I saw a couple of children begging because, of course, if there's a grave, there are some people who come for tourism, for like a pilgrimage, something. So there are tourists, Turkish tourists mainly. There are children who beg. And I told the children, I said, you know, I have money in my pocket, but I'm not giving to you because for my money, I had to work hard. And they look at me, they say, wait, this guy is not able to give me 50 cents or what? I say, if you want money, you have to work. And of course, there was some garbage, some paper on the street. I say, you clean the street and you will get money. After half an hour, they came with a big bag full of garbage. The city was completely clean. And I gave them some money. 6 months later, I came back to the city. People began to dance in the street. They say, since you have come, and I went to the mayor and invited me. The mayor told me, since you have come, we have the cleanest village in Turkey. The children don't beg anymore. They all work hard, study hard. They all have a perspective for the future. You changed our life. What did I do? Small thing can change the world. Oh, could talk an hour about this. Eileen, if you look at that greeting from these people, you know all of them. Great people. When I go there, this is a great, great day for these people. This is a Quranic teacher in one of the Wahhabite Quranic universities in Saudi Arabia. We need to reach these people. I recall a very, very influential Muslim leader, worldwide influential. A couple of weeks ago in April, I talked to him about a couple of things, and with these people, you know, it's not spending 45 minutes talking about 1844. And then you close and you say, next week, same times we meet. These people are very informal, and they learn just by trusting you or not trusting you, and listening between the lines if you are real, and you sometimes need just a few sentences because they don't have too much time also. So you have to be short and precise, bring to the point. And in 1 minute, I'm sure it's not more than 1 minute, I explained him the concept of Jesus, Son of God. And you know what he said? He had a face like this, and he said, I've never heard this. You don't see the picture, by the way. I don't know why. Oh, something happened. I had never heard this. You can change somebody in 1 minute by bringing the right thing on the right time, in the right way, before having a long story of acceptance, confidence, and trust, and love, of course. So you change these people, you change the whole country. I used to say when I travel, I move people 1 millimeter. But this 1 millimeter times 2 billion Muslims change the world. That's what you need to do. There's an organization in the world called, it's no secret, it's called the International Quranic Study Association. To my opinion, this is the best study group in the world of the Quran. And you have Muslims, you have Christians, you have Jewish scholars, you have even atheists studying the Quran. We have to be there. I'm there, a member. So I know these professors, we talk, then we invite each other, and we really study. These people know exactly the truth, but nobody talks about it. You might wonder why. Well, I think that in our ministry we have different kinds of people. You have people who reject the truth, but you have people who accept the truth like Nicodemus. They will not show it. They come in the night, and only on the crucifixion day, there's a phone somewhere, I don't know, some noise in my ear. Only on at the crucifixion day, Nicodemus took a stand for Jesus. Then you have people like Gamaliel. Remember Gamaliel? The Jews wanted to kill the disciples. Gamaliel stood up and saved their life. He never took a stand for Jesus, as far as we know. But God uses sometimes people who do not take a stand for Him, but who will help us in the end time. Like Elijah, who was fed by this tradesman. So here we have the number one of Islam with the blue cloth. He's the number one, the spiritual leader of Islam. On his right side, a man who is number two, he passed away. The one who replaced him is here on the right side. Wait for the picture. And these people are very influential. What they say is valid for the whole Muslim world. Stop in my pictures here. What happened? Oh yeah, here. So this is a few weeks ago. If you want to go to these people, you need a valid reason, and you get 10 minutes. When I go there, I just say I'm here, and these people take 1 hour and a half. We just talk about everything. And to make a long story short, these people asked me, and I'll be the first ever, I think, to write a PhD in Islamic Studies in Al-Azhar University. This is something like a PhD in business in Harvard. You see what I mean? When I have that, all the doors of the world are open. Nobody can contradict me. So that's very secret because I don't want too many people to interfere in that. And that's why my books are not published on internet. I don't want to be internet because I want first to have the recognition. And then we start the real work. When I go there, I meet the ambassador of Kuwait, for example, religious minister of Djibouti, all these people. We exchange business cards, and all the time I propose them Bible studies, all the time. And never they say no, never. So my role is to give Bible study to these people. You can imagine I'm a busy man, I'm flying every week. As I said, I have no budget, nobody finances me, I never ask for money. This is all God's miracle. And I want to keep it like that. Of course, if you give me $1 million, it's okay. I never ask any king to give me millions of dollars. They could do that. For them, it's pocket money. But I never ask. This is God's work. And by the way, they asked me to make the correction of the new translation of the Quran into French, German, English, Urdu, Pakistan, and Spanish. And I told them, I say, I'm not going to try to correct just the grammar or the wording. I want to see if the theology is sound. And they said, okay. And I was afraid to do that because that's a huge responsibility. But last time I went there, they accepted me. This man on the right side, who is the number 2 of Islam actually, he said, you have many enemies here. But I went there, I didn't see any enemies. People just welcomed me and we worked together. And here on the left side, I mean, on the man with the long gray thing is the number 3 of Islam. He's responsible for the dialogue between Islam and the Vatican. Very interesting man, very brilliant man. These are my friends. Yeah, here the teacher. We work on the Quranic translations, and they are very high-level scholars, all of them. These people, the time will come when they will accept the truth. By the way, you want to know what the subject of my doctorate is? They asked me to make a comparison between the laws of Moses, Jesus, and the Quran. Very simple subject, very easy, and I'm glad that it will be finished soon as the devil stops bringing trouble, that papers get lost, and so on. You have to pray for that. It's a hassle. Every year I'm invited in West Africa, East Africa, by the Islamic Council, and all the time the topic is preach about Jesus, preach about Jesus, preach about Jesus' second coming. You're the top imams of these countries, big Muslims. This is a very interesting story. Every year I meet with 40 imams. We are somewhere in the desert and we study the Quran and the Bible. We study the Bible. We pray together, and they are top leaders. One of them was like the devil. He hated Christians. And one day he said, if you can show me that Jesus is alive, I'm ready to believe in him. And he had a dream about Jesus. By the way, that's a strange thing because the Quran says that Jesus is alive. But still these people need, like the Jews in Israel, specific signs. And God was good. He gave him a dream. And he changed his mind. He says, now I want to study the Bible. He asked for 18,000 Bibles for each imam in his country. Later on, 60,000. And we're working together. We see a picture. He's here on the corner. I don't know if you see him. I am on the left side with him, and he's in black, I'm in white. He says, I want somebody to teach me the Bible. And I want all the imams in the world to study the Bible. Study what? The Bible. Which Bible? Which message? The message of the Bible as we understand it as Seventh-Day Adventists. Which means that the duty we have now is to go from the Fiji Island to Trinidad and Tobago via Helsinger and teach the Bible to Islam. And they are waiting for us. They are waiting for us. You see, it's not just about baptizing 10 people. Some immigrant refugees. I love immigrants. I love refugees. No question. We have to finish the work. By the way, this is the same with the Catholics, with the Jehovah's Witnesses, with the Protestants. We have to reach the top. The politicians, the academic, the religious leaders. Otherwise, we'll not finish the work. And God will open the doors. We just have to be open. So this imam is the one I wonder. Now this man, he is responsible for all the mosques in West Africa, from Nigeria to Libya, all the West. And one day he said, Sylvain, I want to see you in Austria. I live in Austria. I said, please come. And he said, the meetings we have with this imam is not enough. What happens? Oh, we're lost. Yeah. This meeting is not enough. We Muslims, we have much more questions. I say, okay, which question do you have? He said, we Muslims have 3 groups of questions. We have problem with health and with education. How many tons of health do you have in your computer? Ellen White, New Start, everything. We have the answers. And he said the third issue we have as Muslims is we know that Jesus comes soon and we want to be prepared. This is the huge issue this man said we have. I would add a 4th one that Muslims today have a huge problem. They believe they have the truth. They believe Christianity has fallen astray. They believe that Jesus come again, but their heart is not clean, even though they try to do everything right. Huge issue. So we meet with these people. He came to me and said, let's work worldwide. So we involve the Saudi, we involve Al Jazeera, we involve all these people. When this man travels to Iran, he says, we study the Bible with the Seventh-Day Adventist. He doesn't say Seventh-Day Adventist. He just says, we study the Bible with Christians who believe in the Bible. He goes to the governments. And he said, do you want to do this? And they say, yes, we go. You see, that's not just smuggling 10 Bibles. It's not what we do. It's reaching the top. Once, a couple of weeks ago, I was in Geneva, in the center of the European mosque, so the Islamic center for whole Europe. When he went in, this man said, oh, I know this man. We were in Mecca together. I know this man. We stayed together in Medina. They were the big leaders, worldwide leaders, European leaders. And I introduced myself, give my business card. I say, can we do something together? Yes. What do we do? Well, I could, of course, start with health program because health is opening all the doors. And if this man says yes, we can have all the mosques in Europe inviting Adventists preach health message. If I tell them, do you want to study the Bible? Let's take one subject, and always take the end time, always. The guy will write to all the leaders of the mosque in Denmark, Sweden, Portugal, Greece, everywhere. And here, we need people who go to the mosque, invited by the leaders, to preach the Bible. That's the work we do. I mean, this is crazy. You can imagine that I'm fully booked. I work night and day. And I need people to help me. And you don't need to be the super professional. You just need to know your Bible, which you do, and to love the people. That's all. Okay, I showed this before, so I stop here. Okay, that was a small introduction to the next topic. Now it's getting serious after this introduction. And my big topic is now to, wait a minute, I'm lost in my stuff here. Yeah, let's go to Denmark with this beautiful subject, an introduction to Islam. Oh, it's here, okay. Wait a minute. Yeah. What I want to do now is to take away something that might be in your mind or in your heart, within you, a kind of fear against Islam. Let me start with a story that you should not apply to Islam, but I was mission president in a big country. I can say it was in Turkey, yeah, 6 years. And we had an underground church. We met in a garden. So in the garden, there was a big, ugly dog. You know these big, ugly dogs? Wow, wow. With a big chain. Everybody was afraid of the dog. And one day we had a visitor. She was a lady. And suddenly I saw her hugging the dog. I said, she's crazy. She said, you know, it's very simple. I'm not afraid of the dog, and the dog knows that. And that day I was completely crazy. I went to the dog, and I hugged the dog. And my hands are still here. Now, I don't want to compare humans with dogs. But I want to say the message that if you are afraid of people, they will feel the bad atmosphere you radiate, to talk a little bit to more New Age maybe, but you see what I mean. I mean, they will feel that there's something wrong in your relationship. On the contrary, if they feel that you have a positive attitude toward them, they will like you. So what I want to take away is the fear of Islam. And I will show you how to do that. So what do you know about Islam? I don't know. We know that's a fast-growing religion. It is. In Denmark, worldwide. It's a religion we cannot ignore, and that's why you are here today. The question is it a threat? I believe yes and no. 1.9 billion Muslims. Can we ignore them? No. The medias are full of Islam. The Muslims around you. Some of your children, I mean you generally speaking, Adventist children, will get married to Muslims and become Muslims eventually. There are quite a few number of serious Christians who become Muslims because they say Christianity is not consequent enough, is not serious enough. A lot of Adventist kids, Baptists, and these people who are serious about the faith become Muslims. We're talking about immigrants, refugees. It's not the same. Both words are generally mixed together in the news in some countries, as we discovered that the big wave coming 2015 was made up of almost 95% immigrants and only 5% refugees. So slowly by slowly we switch to the concept of immigrants. We need workers in Europe. The demography is terrible. We need new people, so we accept everybody and switch away from the pity for the poor refugees. Of course, we feel compassion for the refugees. There's no question. But I can tell you by my experience being regularly on the coast of North Africa, on the coast between Turkey and Greece and so on, living on the border between Austria and Germany, that most of the people who came 2015 were not refugees. And the same today. I mean, I can give you example as many as you want. I was in a restaurant in Saudi Arabia shortly, and the waiter was from Tunisia, and he spoke German. He said, yeah, I've been 4 times in Germany. I said, oh, you go to Germany. It's very simple. I take the boat. Take the boat, slash maybe 200 euro, and I went to Germany, and they kicked me out, and I came back with another boat. So the whole story of people who have to travel thousands of kilometers by foot and spend thousands of dollars to some people, forget about this. That's just a way of helping us accepting everybody in Europe, which is the plan of the UN, of course. But most people who come to Europe just need to take a plane to Istanbul. Within 2 hours, they are from, let's say, Iran to Istanbul. And then in Istanbul, they take a bus, and in 2 hours, they're in Bulgaria or in the Greek island. It's not a big thing. Some do, but most of them don't. Okay, anyway. You have a lot of students. I say students are very important because they are the future elite of a lot of countries where missionaries cannot go. You have tourists also. A lot of people come just as tourists. Wealthy people. By the way, refugees are not necessarily poor people. Mostly they come from good families. You have business partners, you have politicians who come to Denmark. We can reach all these people in a way. Islam grows. The best growth is exponential growth, family reunion, which means that when one Muslim comes to Denmark, he brings his family. He's not going to get married with a Danish lady. Most of the time, they marry a lady from home. Why? Because there in Iraq or somewhere, somebody is ready to give him $30,000, $40,000 to get the girl into Europe. So this is a money matter. And then he has a lady who doesn't speak Danish. He can do what he wants with her. And then there's an exponential growth. By the way, that will not prevent him to marry a Danish lady as well. Because people have 4 women, and it's accepted in many countries in Europe now to have 4 women. And the fastest way for Islam to grow in the world in history has been what? To say a Muslim can marry a non-Muslim, a Christian lady. There's no problem. She doesn't need to become a Muslim. But the kids will be Muslims. Which means the Muslims went to Southeast Asia, to Africa, and married local women, and they remained Christian mostly. But the kids became Muslims, and within 1 or 2 generations, big countries were Muslim. And that is what is going to happen in Europe if we don't stop it. I don't want to say we want to stop it or not. I just said this is what is going to happen. It's a growth by people coming, bring their family, and having their children being Muslim, even though they marry European women. And also conversions, marriage with Christian, I say, romantic attraction of this nice guy. Have you noticed that in the news, and I don't know in the street in Denmark, but if you go in the street in many countries in Europe, the fashion, how to grow your beard, is the Muslim fashion. If you want to be a handsome man today, you have in Germany, in Austria, in France, to look like a Muslim. Have you noticed that? I don't know Denmark, but it's strange. And that's branding, that's made from somebody. If you want to be a nice, beautiful looking man, you have to look like a Muslim. Talking about young men here. And I mean, I'm in the fitness center, as you see, gym, yeah. These guys get all the girls. They look good, they're nice talking, and they look in the eyes. And by the way, that's a huge problem for our churches. Let me tell you that. I was in São Paulo, you remember, Alex? At the end of the service in this Arabic church, nice Arab guys came. At the end of the church service, look behind the ladies from the bottom to up, whoop, like this, making some nice compliments. The girls were just attracted by these guys. And then they start to be interested in religion. And what happens? The day they get married, no more religion. There are some exceptions. But I don't know too many marriages between Muslims and Adventists that ended up happily. But I know many where there's a nightmare going on. I can tell you that. So ladies, be careful on that. Spiritual attraction. Oh, he's so interested. Women never preach the gospel to a Muslim man. Never. No matter if you are 16, no matter if you are 66, don't do it. And by the way, men don't do it to women as well. It's like this. We'll come back to that. Marriage with Christian, romantic attraction. Our children are exposed in school with a lot of children, students from Kosovo, from Afghanistan, from other countries, and their best friends mostly are Muslim. Why? Because we Adventists have the same level as these people. We love God somehow. We don't eat pork. We are a little bit more brave than the other children. I hope so. And I know a lot of Seventh-Day Adventist children, their best friends are from Turkey and so on, which is good in a sense, but we have to be careful also. By the way, the word migrant comes from the Arabic muhajir, those who conquer the world. That's why they left Mecca to Medina on June 27, the Hijrah, the year 0 of Islam. Hijrah, and you can ask any imam, these people left Mecca as refugees and in order to conquer the world. If you don't believe me, read the Quran. The Quran says very clearly, you have to go for holy war and for conquering, evangelizing the world. So you have both words in the Quran very, very clearly in Surah chapter 9 many times. You go for the holy war, which is the jihad, and for the hijrah, to be a mujahid, to be a migrant, or if you want, let's put it politely, a missionary. And you have to do it. Immigrate and fight. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different texts in the Quran. No, sorry. Yeah. Very clear. This is the word migrate. Go and migrate. Go and conquer the world. So I find it quite awkward that our politicians always talk about migrants, not knowing what they talk about. Or you believe, emigrate and fight for the cause of Allah with their goods and soul. Those who do that have a much higher rank in front of Allah. These are the winners of the paradise. The result is that today 1/3 of Brussels is Muslim. In few years, 50% of Belgium will be Muslim, which means that the whole system will collapse. In terms of democracy, you will have, like we have in England, most mayors are Muslims in England, you know that, London, most cities. And another time will be the president, why not? In Brussels, if in your company, 2 workers are Muslim and they sue you, you have no chance to win because they are stronger than you, they are majority. I was in Madagascar in 2009, 4% of Muslims, 4%. 10 years later, 24%. In 10 years, 24%. 9%, 24%. You see the difference? And you can go to Papua New Guinea, you can go to South America, same thing happening. And I wonder, how do we react? So, now let's go to the point. Is Islam a religion of terrorists? Well, let me tell you, I know one terrorist. Before you continue, let me tell you his name, Saul of Tarsus. Oh yeah. Saul of Tarsus was a terrorist. He went to the house of the Christian, drew them up and killed them and rejoiced when Stephen was stoned. But then he became Paul. And in 1 Timothy chapter 1, he said, God was gracious to me because I did it per ignorance. And that's why I became the apostle, great missionary and theologian and so on. My friends, how many people are like Saul of Tarsus in Afghanistan, in Iraq, in Syria, in Nigeria? How many? The problem of the world is not that they are terrorists. The problem is that we don't speak out. Like so many people said, from Socrates to Nelson Mandela via Ellen White, the problem of the world is not evil people, but it's when good people keep quiet. That's the problem. What do you do to reach terrorists who might be as sincere as the Saulos before it was the Apostle Paul, to reach them with a good message of heavenly peace? What do you do? That's the question I'm asking. Second, some people say Islam is part of the truth. We are all brothers. I'm thinking especially of the Catholic Church, Second Council of Vatican, 55 years ago. The plan of salvation is also includes those who acknowledge the Creator, especially Muslims who worship with us, the one God. 1964. Same year, more or less, the Church, Catholic Church, regards with esteem the Muslims. They adore the one God living and subsisting in himself, merciful and all-powerful, the Creator of heaven and earth, who has spoken to man. Pope Franciscus and Simon Peres talk about the creation of United Nations Religion, 2014, in September. The newspaper said that Shimon Peres said, we need an organization of united religions. This would be the best way to fight terrorists who kill in the name of God. It requires a moral authority that is absolutely beyond reproach. Who is that? You know somebody like this in the world? That makes it clear God doesn't want terrorism and he forbids it. Pope Franciscus and Shimon Peres talk about the creation of a United Nation of religion. The Pope has listened with great care and interest, and he strongly encouraged Peres and took the plane to Washington, D.C., and then to the United Nations headquarters in New York City, just a few weeks later on. The fastest growing religion in the U.S. is Chrislam. Interesting. A man called Rick Warren, a charismatic leader. You know that? If you go to the webpage of Chrislam, you find a quotation at the beginning from Malcolm X, the founder of the Black Power in America. Look at this. We are brothers. We are family of God. Not one of us is better than the other in his eyes. He loves us both. Please take your handkerchief. You get tears in your eyes, right? So beautiful. The future can only be won against the evil one by all of us standing strong together. Amen. Who is the evil one? Those who don't do syncretism. Those who don't unite with this big united religion. Those who still believe in the authenticity of the Bible, in creationism. Those who do not tolerate things we should not tolerate. They are the evil ones. You see that? Now, the evangelical world to whom we more or less belong are more the other point of view saying that Islam is the Antichrist. Allah is a pagan god. Have you heard that? Oh, you find that even in Seventh-Day Adventist books. By the way, the Seventh-Day Adventist Church has no official position on Islam. There's one, I know it. It was written by the TED, and the General Conference adopted it, and actually I wrote it. Don't tell to anybody, because I was in the TED committee at that time. But the position is just, we respect, it's not, okay. But every teaching I do, people say, how can you say Allah? Allah is a pagan god, is the god of the moon. This week it happened to me in Switzerland. The Quran is from the devil. Burn this book. Don't touch it. Otherwise, you will be... Islam is the invention of the Jesuit. Have you heard that? My good friend Walter Veit. Islam is against Israel. They're all terrorists. Muhammad was inspired by the devil. Seventh-day Adventists believe that, some of them. The bottomless pit. I believe in the 7 trumpets. I can talk 2 hours about the trumpets. But the bottomless pit is not hell, because there's no hell. So Muhammad or whoever is mentioned here is not coming from hell because there's no hell. You see the point? This is Judaic and partly Catholic theology. So don't take it one as it is. The bottomless pit is just the desert, period. Anyone does not confess Jesus in the Antichrist, quotation by 1 John, wrong quotation because Muslims do confess Jesus that came into flesh. Now the question is, what do you think? And that's what we're going to see now. Again, I've been studying the Bible for 60 years because I was born in the Bible. My grandfather, no, put it like that, the grandfather of my grandmother was a Seventh-Day Adventist. Everybody was involved in the ministry. My father was a pastor, my grandfather was a pastor. So I was born and raised with a bottle of milk. In the milk, there was Daniel and Revelation. You see? When I was 7 years old, my grandmother said, now you know how to read. You read the Bible every year. When I was 9, she said, now you read Desire of Ages and all these books. So I'm born in that. But for 40 years, I've been studying the Quran. So 40 years is a long time. You know what I'm bringing to you now, it's not something I read in the plane yesterday. Okay? It's 40 years of research, intensive research. This is my ministry called Hope to Share. Somebody asked for the webpage. I'm going to give it to you, I think. Where we compare the books. We organize what I call interreligious symposium, which is actually Bible studies, training seminars in churches, like I do for you now, and also in mosque, and publishing books. I've written several books, DVDs, and you can have all this. That's for you. So this is where I'm consultant. And as you see, it's huge. But again, this is God's work. It's not my work. And it's out of my control. Out of my control. It's only prayer and faith. Okay. I don't know what time is it and how long you can listen to me. But after the introduction, we should go into the meat. After the salad, I mean the soya meat, of course. I'm vegan, don't worry. So what do? We continue, make a break? Questions? Questions break, okay, sounds good. Because then we go into the big topic. So any question from you about this small introduction? Go ahead. But to this topic, please, yeah? Yeah, Muslims don't listen to women. Yeah. Well, of course, there are always exceptions. And I'm not saying they don't listen to women. I said they listen too much to women. They listen too much to women. You know, this is the border, the limit of friendship evangelism, if you see what I mean. Of course, if you're on the street and you give a specific product called the Bible, for example, or Ellen White, then you are like any businesswoman who tries to sell them bread or toothbrush at the supermarket. Now, if I approach, but you will not do, let's say, see somebody on the street that's probably a Muslim and go to him and ask him for a friendship. That's not what you do, of course. However, you might you might attract young, good-looking Muslims, or not so young, not so good-looking, who are interested in you. You don't know that.
But I have a feeling if I go with Ellen G. White's books, the government don't know the books yet, what this kind of book is, except that it's a Christian book.
Oh.
It might be more easy to go with the great controversy and try to find out who can have these books.
Oh, no, your second question is about bring books to these countries, right?
Yeah, I don't know if it's possible at all for me to go to any Arabic country and do anything.
Yes, you can do, sure.
Some advice how to do it anyway.
Yeah, so your question, because there's no microphone, is what can I do in Muslim countries? So that's the third question. Second question you had was, can I bring books by Ellen White in Muslim countries without having trouble? Yeah, it's probably, in some countries, the Bible is forbidden. That's true. And the good news is, I tell you what, today in Iran and in these countries, people can download the Bible per internet. They can download the Great Controversy and so on. I don't know in Iran if there's the Great Controversy already in PDF, but in Arabic it is, yeah. So we don't need to smuggle it, they have it. See what I mean? So your third question is, can you go to an Arabic country and do mission work? Of course. Of course. The question is what and how not. That's what we're going to talk later on, yeah. Okay, somebody else, maybe? Sorry, I want to give a chance to other people. Thank you for your questions. Yep.
Yeah, Sylvan, you mentioned before we had a couple of webcasts. It's a comment and a question, question in a comment. You made a comment that we don't have to go to Middle East because the Middle East is coming to Europe.
Yeah.
And that makes it much easier for us from a mission perspective because Muslims are our neighbors, colleagues. We can meet them on the streets, patients, and so on. So that makes our approach much easier for Muslims. So we don't really have to struggle to go to Saudi Arabia, which is almost impossible to go unless you have a business or in your case. You also mentioned last night in our first part how important it is to understand that Islam is not a religion. And we shouldn't be looking at Islam as a religion. Because if we do so, we might do something wrong, we might say something wrong, we shouldn't approach it just as a religion. So could you please emphasize on this again?
Yeah.
What did you mean by that? And what should the approach be? Because when we look at Muslims and Islam.
Well, Michael, as I told you yesterday in the car, your questions yesterday and my answers, I've covered all the important topics. And today, we're going to go through all these topics one by one, all of them. So if I forget something, remind me. So we're going to talk about this question. Let's say your first question, it's a comment, as you said, that we can reach the people easier here than in their countries. I would say practically it's easier. Why? Because you are here. You don't need to travel. You don't need to learn a foreign language. Even though the Jehovah's Witnesses learn Arabic like crazy and have extremely good material, I'm really ashamed to say that because they say partly nonsense, but they have excellent material, excellent material. They go to refugees and they have on their iPhone movies or information about Jesus in 10, 15 different Arabic dialects. Best quality. I'm really ashamed that we have just what we have. We are really backwards. It's incredible. We have the truth and we're so backwards. I can't believe that. Anyway. Yeah, we Adventists are specialized to produce product for themselves. We have super products for ourselves. 10 books about 1844, 10 books about jewelry, all books for ourselves. But outreach is so difficult. I'm ashamed to say that. Anyway. But so you have the people here, so you start here. However, today I would change my mind and saying that most Muslim countries, it's easier to reach the people there than here. For several reasons. First, the immigrants, I mean the classical workers who came, let's say, 60 years ago to Europe, Turkish people, Moroccan people, came mostly from villages, from uneducated background, okay? And very hard to reach them. They stick to their conservative religion or conservative world for different reasons. We do the same sometimes when we come from other countries to a new country, no matter if it's Nigeria, Romania, France, or whatever. We try to keep our traditions and our children to continue keeping these values. Meanwhile, Turkey has gone 200 years forward in terms of education, opening up, and so on. So the immigrants have completely missed this evolution, in a good sense, evolution, so that even when they come back to Turkey, they're completely lost. And for example, Turkey is extremely open to the gospel. Iran, extremely. Afghanistan. I would say most of the Gulf countries. I've been to Ras Al Khaimah, to the Emirates, a few weeks ago. People are so hungry and thirsty. It's unbelievable. Central Asia. I would say Africa to a certain extent. So if God calls you to go to another country, go. But it's true that it's easier here. Now, your second question or comment about the meaning of Islam, we're coming on that in a few minutes, actually. So again, because that's an important point, you have the advantage to other people. Here, you don't need to travel. These people are aware that you have a different culture. They try to learn your language, and you have the freedom. So, of course, start here. Yeah. A question? Yeah. Jay, I think you had a... Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I would just like to ask what is happening or how is the work going in like countries such as Turkmenistan, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan?
So the question is what happens in Central Asia?
The former Soviet republics in particular.
Every country is different. So we can talk on several levels. One level is the state of the Adventist Church. The Adventist Church was built up by German. What happened is that Stalin sent all the Germans living on the border to Central Asia to get them far away from Germany at the time of the Second World War. And many of these Germans would have died if the Muslims, I mean the local people, had not taken care of them in terms of food and shelter and so on. After the collapse of Soviet Union, most Germans went back home. The German churches are pretty well full of Adventist German from Russia, which is good, so it's a blessing for us. Then you have the Russian church there, which is very Russian, but even if you go through the streets, let's say, of Samarkand or Tashkent or the cities, you cannot imagine the difference between the Russian population and the Uzbek population. It's completely different world. And everyone lives in his own culture, religion, and way of thinking. So it's very hard for this native Uzbek, to go to German or Russian churches. Very, very hard. So that's one level. The second level is that, politically speaking, most of these countries are closing down to the gospel. Tajikistan, Turkmenistan is the worst. It's really the worst. It's the freedom of religion is getting very much restricted, especially for groups like Seventh-Day Adventist. So that's the second level. In terms of work, the Russians have done a great job by using the expression copyrighted the right to copy. So they never asked me, but they made 500,000 copies of this book, which is published in Russian, Azeri, Kyrgyz, Kazakh, Uzbek, and Kyrgyz, I said. All of them except Turkmen. This one also is translated in all the books. And another book called The Blessed Feast that I wrote. I forget any copy. It's about the plan of salvation to Muslims. I don't have any copies, so I cannot show it to you. But you can order it. It's a great book. And it's also published in Russian, Uzbek, Kazakh, Kyrgyz, and Azeri. And many Muslims came to the Adventist Church through these books and through other things also. The churches have accepted them, but there's still, even the church, this gap between the Russians and the native. It's a very hard situation, to my opinion. So what I did when I went there is to organize camps where the Uzbek, for example, the native Uzbek, would meet together from different cities, learn Uzbek songs, Christian songs. I've answered to their specific questions about the veil, circumcision, and all these things that are not addressed in our church. Eventually get their children married among each others to create a second generation of these people. And that's what I've done in many, many Muslim countries among new converts. And it's very, very effective. But that's a huge work, yeah. I love these countries. There was another question?
Yeah, I just got a message here. There is a question again about women's here.
Not women ordination, I hope.
No. We're not on this subject today.
No, not today.
There is someone here following on the live stream here. She's saying that I'm talking to Muslim women, but they're telling me that they would like to study more, but they are afraid of their husband.
Yeah.
What can I do in this situation?
Yeah. Now we are in the practical approach, and we're going to talk more about this in the future. I'm just taking away the fear of Islam. It's just an introduction to Islam, if you want. But first, women, generally speaking, are more receptive to religion. I mean, you have more active church members among women than among men. Then in Islam, women have to fight more than men because the Quran is saying that, for example, a man can beat his wife anytime without giving her any reason. That's in the Quran. Women have no rights compared to men. The heritage is half of what their brother would get, and so on and so on. So women have a very bad position in Islam. That's why they need to fight, and that's why they are more, if they're a bit thinking, let's say, pushed away from Islam, and consequently open for the gospel. And that's where you, sisters, have a great job to do. From the palace of the women in these countries to the students and so on. It's true that many women are afraid of what the husband would say. That's true. And that's the next topic. How do we prepare Muslims or Catholic or anybody who accept the message? How do we prepare them how to deal properly, to behave properly, to witness properly to their people? That's a big issue. And we might address this issue if you want, yeah. That's a very important thing. Otherwise, people are either enthusiastic and they mess up the whole thing, or they're so afraid and they don't know what to say, and it's big subject, yeah. Okay.